Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dynasty Fantasy Football League podcast. Episode number, I don't know. I can't remember. And I don't think anybody really cares. Today, we are going to do a draft recap. And with me, I have David. David, say hello. I didn't hear you there. There we go. Perfect. And joining us from his basement, the champ is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hola.
I would have cued the music, but then we would have gotten a copyright strike, so we're going to avoid that.
Let's just leave the belts here in the corner. There we go.
All right, so guys, how are we doing tonight?
Not too bad at all. Getting ready for the season.
Yeah, we're about, it's about a month late if we finished the draft about a month ago, but let's some things have changed since then. We're also going to talk about that, but first let's dive into the draft. So we kicked it off with Dennis. I think some people may be surprised, but I kind of thought he would just go quarterback and take Caleb Williams. What do you guys think? I mean, he already had Anthony Richardson and Trevor Lawrence, which is, I think, the only reason why he was maybe not going to take a quarterback. But I still think quarterbacks are the most valuable assets. So I think it was smart to.
I agree because, Richardson showed a lot of potential last year, but you don't know coming off the injury if he's going to do better, worse, or where he's even at. And then, Lawrence has got a big contract, but he still has kind of unproven. So, take quarterbacks while you can. It's super flex. So,
yeah,
you can't fault him for taking BPA at 101.
And so since we're on Dennis in the first round, I guess him and Jesse then made a deal later on. So now not only does Jesse have Caleb Williams, he also stacked him with Rome Odunze. So what do we think about that potential stack there?
Yeah, down the line, it's tough right now. I don't think rookie year we'll see much of. We'll see some flashes, but down the line, I like that a lot. Especially with Keenan Allen getting up there, and then having DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, yeah.
With Keenan Moore retires, having DJ Moore as a solid number one, and then having just literally roam the field and just do what he wants.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty high on Rome Odunze. I thought he was, I saw a lot of different places talking about like there was a top four, and then they were like, yeah, some of these other guys maybe you could jumble them around between Rome and May and McCarthy and Bowers. But to me, I thought Rome was the clear number 5 in this draft. Like I thought there really wasn't a question of taking him there. I think his upside is massive. He went in the top 10 in the draft. He had good tape. I think he's a really solid prospect. And really the only reason people shied away from him, I think, is because he potentially could be behind.
Right. Where he landed.
Moore and Allen.
Right. It's like JSN from last year.
Yeah.
Going behind Lockett and Metcalf. But I think Rome has a way better upside than JSN did last year. So I can't fault him for making that trade to stack it.
Yeah. I just wouldn't want to, put all my eggs in the Bears basket, but that's just me. Just me personally.
That's a sleeper. I think the Bears.
As a Lions fan, I don't like the Bears. I hate the Bears.
I get it.
So.
I get it.
All right. I guess if we're talking about the 2024 rookie draft, I guess we got to talk about Jesse.
What?
So who wants to?
You didn't have any part of that draft. What are you talking about?
So let's kind of go through Jesse's what should I call it? Like his squad here that he drafted in the first round. Right. So we said he drafted Rome Odunze, and then later in the draft dealt him to Dennis in a deal where Jesse got Garrett Wilson. But Jesse took Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. Let's start with those. So he took 3 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers. Why don't you guys kind of, if you have players you like in there, if you thought that he maybe did something that he shouldn't have done, or obviously now Jesse has traded JJ McCarthy, so that is.
I mean,
he ended up with 2 quarterbacks and 2 wide receivers in this first round.
I think he played it safe for the players available at that time. I mean, I'm not a huge Drake May fan, but I mean, given at that point, I mean, he could have traded back and maybe gotten like Michael Penix, or Bo Nix. But I'm very high on Jaden Daniels. It kind of stinks for Jesse because he drafted so many receivers and has so many receivers that he can't even stack Jaden Daniels with Jahan Dotson, who's on his team.
Yeah.
So like he just has better options available. I can't fault him for that. I mean, he's taking pretty much best player available for that, at the time.
Yeah, I think JJ has a sleeper path to being the best quarterback in that group. I mean, Jaden Daniels, I like Jaden Daniels, but the skill Minnesota, that scheme that they have over there, he could have a lot of success once he takes over the starting role.
Yeah, I definitely think Jaden Daniels has the most year 1 upside of all the rookie quarterbacks, just because I think he's the one that if plays break down, he's just going to run. And for rookie quarterbacks, that's like the easiest path to get points is scrambling and running. I even think he has, his first year upside higher than Caleb Williams for Jaden Daniels. But like you said, I think there is sleeper potential for any of these 4 guys to be. I guess I'm kind of with Nick. I don't really like Drake May either. I don't know.
I think it's just the Patriots, like a white quarterback from the Patriots. I don't know. It's like there's Tom Brady, and then there's like nobody who's ever been good.
Okay, so
that's a lie, but yeah.
I split Jesse's draft into those 4, and now we'll talk about his other 3 picks.
All running backs.
I guess this is where we get into where I was talking to Nick Stoll yesterday, and I said to him, I kind of like what he's doing versus what Jesse did, where Nick currently now, he already has 2 firsts in each of the 25, the 26, and the 27 classes. Whereas Jesse, he has all of Jesse's first round picks in those 3 drafts. But where Jesse here now, it's like you get in, and I felt like Nick, sometimes you did this too, where you got yourself into a place where it's like, I basically just have to draft a running back now, even if they're maybe not the most valuable players on the board. Whereas Jesse comes away with Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, and Blake Corum, who I definitely think are the top 3 running backs in this class. But I don't necessarily think any of them are like, no doubt, we don't have a Breece Hall. We don't have a Bijan Robinson. We don't have a Jonathan Taylor in this class. All 3 of them, they have paths to being, good. But Brooks is coming off a torn ACL. Benson's behind Connor. Corum's behind Kyron Williams. All of them were drafted later in the 2nd round or later than that. So there's just not like obvious, but Jesse needed running backs. He basically had none on his roster. And that's where I think maybe if he works the trade a little bit better, he can maybe find partners and trade for some veteran backs and then pair him with his young guys and try to contend. But we'll see. Do you guys agree, disagree? Any of these 3 that you like, dislike?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I said, that happened to me the year when I had back-to-back 5 picks in each round. The 5th pick was always like, I needed a running back. So it's like Dameon Pierce, who's like drafted in the 1st round, which he should have gone like late second, but I was like, whatever. So I totally understand that. Drafting for need with the picks you have versus drafting the best player available at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Jonathan Brooks. I think he, in my mind, probably has the best chance to start sooner. I say that as a partial Kyron Williams owner in another league, so I don't want Corum to take over.
It's funny, Dave and I we're talking a little bit about Kyron Williams today. Dave texted me a picture of, him and Jesse did a draft, and he said, "Whose team do you like better?" And David drafted Kyron Williams, and I said, "Well, then I don't really like your team that much." Because as much as I know Kyron was really good last year, a lot of his upside was because he just got so much volume. He got so many carries. There's nobody else there. And if you look at Kyron Williams as a prospect, Blake Corum as a prospect, Blake Corum is just a better version of Kyron Williams when they were both coming out of college. He's faster. He did all the testing numbers better. Yes, Kyron Williams has shown it at the NFL. Blake Corum hasn't. But what if Blake Corum just comes in and is better than Kyron? Like, I think that could happen. And I'm impartial, or I'm not impartial. I'm a huge Michigan fan. Everyone knows this. Blake Corum was our guy. He's been awesome. And I think he's just an outstanding running back. And
with Kyron hurt right now, like I want to see how he goes into training camp, because if Blake can just go in there and just show he's a stud right away when he's injured, I mean, like I said, so I mean, it's I could just see him sliding in. Yeah, I don't want him to, but I can see.
But the one thing about the Rams is McVay has shown he's basically like, he's not like these other coaches that like want to use 46 different running backs. Right. If he's comfortable with the guy, he's just going to throw him out there.
Well, and he also
better or worse.
McVay, like you see a lot of head coaches, a lot of offensive coordinators, they will play their scheme and try to make their team fit the scheme, but McVay actually uses his team's strengths, and like, so if he has a good strong running game, he'll run the ball a lot more.
Yeah.
Like he did with, was it Gurley? He was a Gurley.
Yeah.
Last year, yeah. And but obviously with Stafford and Kupp and Nakua, I mean, probably still going to air it out a lot, but I think he might go back to running more if he has a solid running game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not big into like get into weird elements of film, and I know all these different plays, but I did watch a big analysis of the Rams running game and Michigan's running game, and the Rams love to run the two main blocking schemes they like to run are gap and duo, and two main schemes that Michigan thrives in are gap and duo. So like, they basically took a guy that plays their exact scheme and want him like to go to the next level. So this is not a like Blake Corum hype show, but
it's a Nick Corum hype show.
It's a Nick Corum hype show.
Champion Nick Corum.
The champ is here.
I agree with both you guys, but some leftover value in those last couple picks. I probably would have taken Brooks if he, but that's just because I also kind of have a need at running back. So
yeah. I mean, so here's what I'll say. Dave, you ended up getting Brock Bowers at number 9.
Mm-hmm.
You and I had made a deal for that pick. I am like, okay, people listening to this are in leagues with me. I should not talk too much, but I very much like Isaiah Pacheco this year. I'm very high on what I think he could do this year. And you and I made a deal where I basically gave you this pick as, a package with some stuff, and got Isaiah Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
Had I known Brock Bowers was available at 9, I might not have done that, because I might have tried to like use some kind of trade or something for something else. Because I really thought Bowers should have gone. I thought their tier break was at 8, right? So I thought that our tier breaks were around 5 and 8. So that's why I want to get out of the 9th pick, because I thought that I was going to have to get to the point where I'm choosing between Brooks or Brian Thomas or Xavier Worthy or some, where I'm like, I kind of like all these guys similarly. I don't really know who to pick. But so I think you got some value there with Brock Bowers at 9 because Jesse decided to go with Brooks.
Yeah.
And I feel like the reason Jesse did that was because he was pretty sure you were going to take Brooks.
Yeah. We had talked about it a little bit before the draft, because he was kind of available and all that. So
yeah,
but
yeah, because here's the thing: if Jesse had taken Bowers where he took Brooks, and then still decided to take running backs, I would have liked his draft a little more.
Value at every position.
What? Then he at least taps.
Yeah.
And I mean Bowers I think is an outstanding tight end prospect. So
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
he only has Ferguson right now.
yeah,
I mean,
just
he has Kate Otten, but like,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, Dave, I thought you got a pretty solid pick there at 9. I mean, I've seen people that think Bowers is like could have gone in before May and McCarthy. So
Yeah. Like right after
so yeah, getting
Dinza,
him.
and yeah, I've seen that
Yeah.
too.
So I mean, you're at the point where I mean you're kind of in a rebuild. So I think the smartest move for you is yes, just grab as much value as you can with your picks.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like shoehorning yourself into taking, well, I should get a running back or I should get a receiver. And so then so it's funny, the only 2 picks that were made by the people with the actual pick that owned them were Dennis at 1 and Ben at 10. So yeah, Ben took Brian Thomas Jr. because he was ranked the highest on Keep Trade Cut of the rookies available. Oh, I'm just assuming.
Is that why? Yeah, okay. I don't know.
I just know when we drafted, I went and looked, and that's who it said was the best available player. So I'm assuming that's where Ben said was at. But Ben did need receivers. That's definitely the position on his team that he was weakest at. He's got some old guys and not much else. So, I mean, like Brian Thomas Jr. is nothing, I mean, I think he's solid, but yeah, there's not really much to talk about with him.
Yeah, I mean, I had in Ben's situation, I had Worthy ahead of him.
Yeah, I think I would have too.
But I mean, it is what it is.
But I mean, like it's
Ben's
splitting hairs, just preference.
Yeah, because I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I always draft. I don't know why, but I always draft for like immediate playing time need. So I mean, Brian Thomas could get a lot of targets, but I think Worthy's gonna have more, especially if Rashid Rice gets suspended.
Yeah. Oh, and so circling back to the 3 running backs Jesse drafted, really we didn't touch on Trey Benson. I actually am a very big fan of Trey Benson. I think he could take over for James Conner, especially if Conner gets dinged up. I think Benson's just really good. We talked more about Brooks and then had a Blake Corum diatribe, but I do really like Trey Benson as a prospect. I don't necessarily know if I would take him in front of some of these receivers here, but I do understand the thought process.
Well, and it's so funny because I looked at the depth chart of Arizona, and it's like James Conner, and then they have Trey Benson, then they have like DeMercado, who was a rookie last year, who actually did pretty well coming in. They have Michael Carter, who's been around for the Jets and stuff. Then they have DJ Dallas, and then Tony Jones, who's from like the Saints. I'm like, there's like 6 people I know the names. There's like such middling people. I'm like, could they actually break out again?
Well, they signed DJ Dallas to like a way bigger contract than anybody realized, but I think it's because of the new kickoff rules for DJ Dallas.
Okay.
I think you'll see that with some of these running backs. Like the Steelers are the same boat. They like gave way too much money to Cordero Patterson, and people are like, "What are you doing?" And then they're like, "Oh, they want him to return kicks."
Oh,
he's Arthur Smith's buddy.
So some of the, yeah. So then after that, we'll go back to kind of the specific order here. So Dennis had back-to-back picks. He took Xavier Worthy and Keon Coleman. I think he's kind of in the just BPA mode where he's just gonna, if he thinks somebody fell that was valuable, he was gonna snipe them up, and so he gets Xavier Worthy and Keon Coleman. And then to finish out the trio of receivers, Dave, you took Ladd McConkey. If you want to talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, receiver for Justin Herbert, they don't have a number 1. Quentin Johnson's still yet to prove himself. So I think
he didn't prove himself last year.
Nah,
I think he proved a lot.
He proved himself in the wrong direction. So I think, especially from a half point PPR standpoint, I think Ladd did a lot of targets, did a lot of catches.
Yeah, I agree that I think McConkey could just be a target hog this year. He's a good route runner, and Herbert will just, when he slings it, if he finds a guy he's comfortable with, he'll just pepper him. And like you said, there's not really much competition there.
Mhm.
Oh, you like DJ Chark?
And then same thing. So Dennis took, we said Worthy and Coleman. I like Worthy a little more than Coleman, but both of them, they're tied to good quarterbacks and good offenses.
Mhm.
So really, they have upside. And Nick, either of them you like or anything?
I was trying to get Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to trade into there. I was a fan of Coleman. Obviously, MSU fan here, Keon Coleman. No,
He
yeah,
went to Florida State.
After.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, like I said, I think the order that was picked was accurate for what was left.
Mhm.
Yeah, not too bad.
So then next two picks, we went the last two of what I felt was the quarterback tier. All the guys that were drafted in the first round. So Andy took Bo Nix and I took Michael Penix. Basically, for me, this was another spot where once Jesse took Blake Corum, I was basically fine with any of these five guys here that went, Worthy, Coleman, McConkey, Nix, Penix. Matt accused somebody of like telling me to draft Penix, and I was like, nobody needed to tell me to draft Penix. It took me like all of 8 seconds to make this pick because Nick and I are in another dynasty league. I also have Michael Penix in that league. I didn't know I was going to be such a big Michael Penix fan, but I just think he's a player that, people are like, oh, he's not going to start for 2 years. I did a little research into players drafted in the top 10. Not a single one of them in the last 15 years has had to wait more than one season. Now, not all of them had players established in front of them as good as Kirk Cousins or as established as Kirk Cousins, but I just think Penix.
And you don't know how Kirk Cousins is going to come back. Sure, he got the huge contract, but
he has an Achilles. He's still coming off an Achilles tear.
Exactly.
Who knows how he's even going to if he's going to be able to start the season? Like,
exactly.
What if Penix just tears it up in training camp while he's recovering, and they just decide like we don't even need Cousins? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And I just think he's a really talented passer, and I was trying to explain to somebody like. Somebody was asking like, well, it's like he's not gonna play, so he's not really giving you value. And I was like, well, but the thing is, he's not gonna lose value, right? You draft some of these other guys. Let's look at the pick right after Penix, right? Xavier Legette. All right, if Xavier Legette, I think he's similar to Jonathan Mingo. Well, what does Jonathan Mingo's value look like this year versus last year? It's completely tanked because he was terrible as a rookie.
Right.
Even if Penix doesn't play at all his rookie year, his value is not really going to go down.
Right.
Right. Because we don't know what he is.
That's what the taxi squad's for.
So I feel like he's a perfect guy to just throw on my taxi squad. His value is going to stay, pretty much where it is. And then when he's inevitably gets a chance to start, his value is going to jump. And if I feel like trading him, I can trade him then. Or I just wait and it's awesome and goes way up in value. So I just feel like it's a pick where his value is just not going to change that much.
Yeah. I did like Andy's pick of Bo Nix. Actually, he was like the next best available. But I think it's tough because when he was at Auburn, he kind of did suck. He's supposed to be really good, but he kind of did suck his first couple of years. So there could be a learning curve, going from college to NFL that he'll need to learn too. But I think he is the clear-cut starter of that group. I don't think Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham are going to put any sort of pressure on him.
Right. So then back half of the second round. So I said Matt took Xavier Legette. Dennis took Jalen Wright. Doyle traded up and took Ricky Pearsall and Jalen Polk. Dave, you traded up with me and got Roman Wilson. I took Adonai Mitchell, and then Nick, you took Kamani Vidal to close out the round and make your first pick of the draft. Anybody there that we like that stands out? We can all talk about the picks we made and what we were thinking. Dave, if you want to go first.
Polk is an interesting pick. So New England really doesn't have a 1 right now. I know Douglas plays. He's probably the favorite, but new system, got a rookie quarterback. I mean, he's a guy who could there at the back of the second.
I don't know. I'm not a huge Polk fan. I loved him at Washington. Had a lot of bets on him at Washington. So I did follow him very closely, and he is good. I think it's just such like a muddled field of wide receivers in New England that I don't trust. I don't trust them. I mean, he could be good. I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket because I said you have Demario Douglas, Juju, Tyquan Thornton actually did pretty well last year, and then you have KJ Osborne coming in.
If he's in New England too,
yeah, he got traded to New England. Was it Javon Baker? I think he got.
And then Javon Baker got drafted later.
Right.
Jesse took him in the 4th round.
Kendrick Bourne, Keyshawn Booty. Like, I mean, if Booty ever does anything.
So I would compare them to like Green Bay, except all their receivers are not good. Whereas all Green Bay's receivers are like have looked good.
Yeah. So I mean,
you don't really know who's going to be what each week,
right?
And you could have a week where week 1 Kendrick Bourne could go out and have 10 catches for 100 yards, and everyone thinks, okay, there he is. And then the next week Polk goes out and scores 2 touchdowns or something, and then the next week Javon Baker does something, and nobody's going to really know what's what. So it could just be messy, or it could
So Dave, did you trade into the 10th position?
I did.
You have
no, I traded with Andrew.
Yeah, because you traded in, and I thought you were going to take. Because I was looking between Adonai Mitchell, Vidal, and Troy Franklin, and I was like, all right, Dave's definitely going to take one of these. And as a Pittsburgh fan, I was like, no, he's not taking Roman Wilson. I forgot you're a Michigan fan. That makes more sense.
Yeah. I figured that would be a player that you would look at the 212. So no,
nope, not on my list.
And I also did not really want Roman Wilson, so I clarified with Dave who he was trading up for before I made the deal. Because I was like, all right, I'll trade back a couple spots and pick up a pick somewhere for a player that I wasn't playing. I have Roman Wilson in our other league, so I was trying. I mean, it's not that I dislike him; I just already have him. And I don't like him enough to be like, I want him in all my leagues or anything like that. So,
I saw Adonai Mitchell, and I was like, please fall to me, please fall to me, please fall to me. And Andrew took him right in front of me.
I took him there, and he's the guy that I never really had on my radar, mostly because I didn't think he would be available. I really thought he would go in this 2.6 to 2.9 range somewhere. Oops, I think I touched my screen by mistake. So I really thought he would go before, and so I was kind of like, I'll take Adonai Mitchell. One player I kind of wanted to highlight too was Ricky Pearsall. I think he's one that's he could be wait a year and see what happens with the 49ers offense, if he can if they deal Debo or deal Ayuk or do something there.
Because I remember him at Florida. He did a lot of basically just get the ball in his hands. They do screens, bubble screens, short passes, and he also did. So he's basically Debo reincarnated, younger.
Which is why people, some people do really like him and think that he has a lot of upside if he can, eat into that role or kind of be a secondary player to Debo like that.
Right, because I'm wondering if because there's times where if he's gonna take Juwan Jennings reps, and have that wide receiver 3, or if he's just because it'd be weird to if they're trying to get both of them on the field at the same time. We'll see what they want to do.
All right, so then Nick, you took Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, I thought he had the best chance to see some playing time and get some good reps. I don't know. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, they're good when they're healthy. It's just very hard to get them healthy. Yeah. But it's just weird how Baltimore just traveled through a running back group.
That's true. It's like the Harbaugh.
One from one Harbaugh to the other.
Harbaugh was like, "Hey Jim, I got a couple guys you'd like."
Yeah.
Hold them out. Christmas dinner or something. These guys are pretty
Right.
good.
Well, yeah, and like Vidal has like the same build and everything as Blake Corum, like almost the same exact poundage, height, weight, everything. So like, I feel like he may find a little eye in Harbaugh's twinkle in Harbaugh's eye. So might as well stab at him. Need running back depth.
So then as we got into the third round, this is where, I have a bunch of picks here, so I'll kind of take over a little bit here talking about some of the guys I got here. And Nick, I'll let you talk about Troy Franklin too. But so I took Marshawn Lloyd at 3-1, and this might be my favorite pick I made in the whole draft. Before the draft, he was my RB1. I thought he's the best rookie coming in. I don't necessarily love the landing spot in Green Bay with Josh Jacobs there, but I think he's good enough to at least carve out maybe some passing work. And then just, get Jacobs only on I think it's a 2-year deal. But he's already, he's younger than we realize. He's one that was like, he joined the NFL. He was like 11 years old or something. So he's really not that. I'm kidding, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's like the 5-year NFL vet who's still only like 25. Whereas some of the, you have these 5-year NFL vets that are pushing 30 sometimes. So
yeah, I thought he was on a 4-year deal. Was it 2 years?
I really don't. I think it's one of those 4-year deals, but it's really a 2-year deal.
It's a lot on the
Yeah,
front end.
that's what scared me. Not scared me, but that's why I didn't pick Lloyd, even though Lloyd is the better prospect than Vidal.
Yeah,
I think it was like because Jacobs had a big multi-year deal and he was young. I felt like
it could, like I said, it could be a wasted pick, but I just think Marshawn Lloyd's a very talented player. So, and in my opinion, once I get into these second and third round picks, I'm drafting who I think has the most upside as opposed to like who can give me points right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so your 2 picks, Nick, kind of buck that and went the other way. I feel like Vidal and Troy Franklin are 2 guys that definitely have like path to playing time right away.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, because with Bo Nix, having his WR1 from college,
and then also not having Jerry Jeudy there.
Exactly.
So
yeah, so it carves out a role there because Denver's wide receivers are just blah.
Yeah,
it's kind of like New England, but at least they have Cortland Sutton. Yeah, so we'll see if they can get a connection going and have some fun year one.
So for the rest of our analysis, I kind of just have us discuss our picks and then like maybe pick one player in later, in the 4th round or something that we all like, that each of us like, or a pick that we thought was pretty good for where it is. So I had 3 of the next 4 picks or something here. So I picked at 3-4, 3-6, and 3-7. I took Jermaine Burton, who I have now actually traded to Dave begrudgingly. I did not want to do that. Doyle will know I like Jermaine Burton too much, I think, especially for a guy that's just going the 3rd round of rookie drafts. Like, I don't even know why I like him. I can't really explain it, but I just feel like in that offense with his skill set, he has a pretty good upside. Ben Sinnott, I don't know. I just like stashing a tight end on my taxi squad. He's a pretty good pass catching back.
You do too?
Yeah. He's a pretty good pass catching option. So I feel like he could have he could be relevant in Washington. They don't really have a tight end, Logan Thomas, but he's like 1,000 years old. And then Malachi Corley, a guy I kind of like his testing numbers. I thought his value was pretty solid where I took him. The Jets don't really have a number 2 receiver. Well, they signed Mike Williams, but so they have Garrett Wilson and Mike Williams, and then Corley is the 3rd option. Could be something.
Garrett Wilson was talking up Corley a lot.
Yeah,
saying he liked him a lot. So yeah, we'll see how he does.
So the next pick any of us made was Dave. You took Audric Estime.
Yeah, just he could see some playing time early. I know that Williams is kind of fallen out of favor over there. He's a couple, bad games from being sent back down, but so it's just an opportunity. Kind of like Senator, someone I could throw on my tax squad and see what happens.
Sent back down to where? The XFL?
Yeah. I don't know why I said that. Down to the practice squad.
I liked Estime coming in to the draft. I was telling Andrew with my 2 picks in like the end of second, early third, I wanted one to be Estime, but then like I just saw him kept falling, and I don't know. I think he can do well. He kind of reminds me of like Blake Corum. Just got a lot of tread on his tires. I think a lot of wear on his tires.
Yeah,
Notre Dame. Yeah.
Anybody else here? I kind of liked. So I took him in our other league. Isaac. Is it Isaac? I think it's Isaac Guarendo. I just feel like the 49ers always just take these random people and they're relevant for a few weeks here and there. So I feel like he's a guy that could do something, but obviously no conviction in that. It could just be nothing. He could be what's his face. They just drafted a guy a couple years ago. I can't remember the guy's name. He literally did nothing. He's a 3rd-round pick.
Trey Benson?
No, on the 49ers.
He's Trey Sermon.
Yeah,
well, okay.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need to remind me of Trey Sermon. That's who I'm talking about.
Jordan Mason.
No, not even him either.
Patrick Taylor. It was Green Bay. Yeah.
All right, so let's move to the 4th round. Is there any picks here that anybody, stood out that you liked or anything?
I mean,
we all made 1 pick, so
I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit because I'm kind of fell into the starting role with Waller retiring. I
mean, it's also on the Giants, so we'll see.
Yeah, right. He tested pretty well for a tight end. And
he's going to throw him some dimes.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see him going there. I mean, I think Spencer Rattler is a dark horse in New Orleans.
Yeah.
If he does well in the backup role, I think he could start next year. If is it Carr's there right now?
Yeah, I think if the other quarterbacks are Derek Carr and Jameis Winston. If Winston's even, actually, I think Winston signed somewhere else.
Yeah, it's Taysom Hill and Nathan Peterman. So, a lot of.
I don't even know why they drafted a quarterback with that.
I know.
I mean, Spencer Rattler at one point, people thought he'd be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So
yeah. I was trying to move up from the 411 to get him, but just
that's so. Not to rag on Jesse too many times, but Jesse traded up in the 3rd to get Jordan Travis, and I was shocked that he took Jordan Travis and not Spencer Rattler. Like I thought, Rattler.
Yeah. Rattler. I mean,
was like the obvious. Oh,
speak of the devil.
We say his name and he shows up. It's like Beetlejuice. I said his name too many times. Hello, Jesse. Can you hear us?
No. My headphones don't work.
All right. Well, let's just keep plug in here. So what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. So I said, I mean, I think Rattler. I cannot speak. Let somebody else talk.
Rattler Snake. Yeah, I think he has a good upside. Yeah.
I will say, I did like the for the same reasons. Dave was talking about Jalen Polk earlier with the New England Baker that Jesse took. I was actually trying to trade up to take him in one of these spots. So I'll toot my own horn too. I really like Tyrone Tracy. I don't know why. It's another one of these do the Giants really have a good running back? They have Devin Singletary. Like I've seen the guy run 6 years and I'm not impressed. So I feel like he's one of those he just might get a shot and maybe he's good and might as well just throw him on a taxi squad and see what happens. The fifth
What
round.
do you guys think about Lube?
Laub, Dylan Laub.
Loud.
Lube.
I don't know. Ask
Uh,
ask Andrew. He has no interest in the Las Vegas
I have,
running backs.
I have no interest in the Las Vegas running back situation at all. Laube, I did see hyped as kind of like a like one of the better pass catching backs in the class. So I feel like he could be the third down back. That's about what I'll say. I don't really see him taking any work from Zamir White on early downs, but like I said, he could make it do something on third downs because Zamir White's not really a third round pass catching guy anyways.
But they have Amir Abdullah too for pass catching. I don't know. And Alexander Madison.
Jesse, can you really not hear us?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was like, "Hello, welcome to the stream."
No, my volume was turned all the way down. So.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
All right. I mean, so I guess.
Hey guys.
We've basically gotten to the end of the draft recap here. There's really not anybody in the fifth round of relevance, if you ask me. So.
Jared Wiley, backup tight end for KC.
Yeah.
Dude, when Kelsey retires,
yeah.
Come on. 6'6", 250. Let's go.
All right, so Jesse, we talked about our thoughts on your draft. So now we'll let you kind of give your overall impressions on what you were able to do and how you think this draft impacts your team going forward.
Wow. All right, put me on the spot. Well, it went kind of like I was expecting. I mean, I drafted everyone that I was expecting to draft. Dennis and I already had the plan to swap Odunze for Garrett Wilson. And I had another trade lined up that fell through.
Thanks, Dave.
No, it wasn't Dave's fault. It was Eric and Matt McDonald's fault. So
this is the Singleton one.
Yeah, they talked Chris Singleton out of the trade that I was, and I'm kind of glad because I mean it led me to do what I did. This was acquire Justin Jefferson. So
for 4 firsts.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at it that way. I mean, I had a huge need for quarterback and running back. So with all my picks, I just tried to get best players, but also what I needed. So
cool.
Right, so let's quickly. I think there's like 3 or 4 trades that I wanted to talk about here quick. So let's go. The first one. Jesse and I just swapped basically third for Wando Robinson. I like Wando Robinson. I feel like he's a little undervalued. He's produced when he's been on the field. This is kind of just a flyer for me. I liked him better than a couple randoms I had at the bottom of my roster, and Jesse was willing to deal him. So
I mean, knowing that I was going to get Malik Neighbors, I was totally okay with.
Yeah, that makes
giving
sense.
Away Robinson, and I really like Wandale too, but
yeah. And so Nick threw Hendon Hooker to Matt for a 4th. It's kind of just one of these. Nick was probably going to cut him, so we might as well get a pick for him type of deals.
Yeah, and Matt said he wanted him earlier, so got something for him.
And then, so this deal was a little surprising. Doyle gave Jalen Waddle in a 2nd for Brock Purdy. I know he values Purdy, and I kind of do as well. I think Purdy's kind of one of these quarterbacks that's a little undervalued. I feel like he should be up a little higher. But so is Waddle. I feel like both of those players are undervalued. I feel like it could have been a straight deal, just 1 for 1. But Doyle throwing in the 2nd round pick, I feel like sweetened it for Ben to do something.
Oh, we just need Ben, one of his quarterbacks, go down again.
Yeah,
his team is stacked.
Yeah. I mean, it sets Ben up. Ben, like we said earlier, I said Ben needed receivers. That was definitely the weakest part of his team. He's pretty loaded at quarterback and running back and tight end. So getting Waddle as a kind of younger top option to go with a couple of his aging guys with Devontae and Keenan Allen. We're ignoring that
Wait,
deal.
somebody actually traded with Ben?
Yeah. And then, so Dave and I made this deal. It's kind of a weird deal, but it's the same thing where, we're getting to the point I needed to cut down my roster, and I had just too many players, and I didn't want to cut guys. And Dave had there's a couple players that Dave was interested in my roster, so I got a couple picks, and Ezekiel Elliott, who I think is like the cheapest starting running back that could get me some decent, guy that I can throw in my flex and get me 8 points in a week. So, and like I said, I really like Jermaine Burton, but I do have him in another league, so I was okay dealing him. Dave has been on me about Kendra Miller since I got him. So
should have never gave him away. But
Dave wanted to rectify his mistake of trading him last year, so he got him back. Elijah Mitchell, I threw him in as he's just a handcuff. What if McCaffrey gets hurt? Then Dave can just flip him for something.
exactly.
Andy gave Chris a first rounder in 26 for Baker Mayfield. This is kind of a significant deal, I think. Andy needed a quarterback. Chris kind of knowing that he doesn't really have much draft capital. I feel like he is kind of making a couple moves to at least get some picks. I know Jesse probably has more insight into that than the rest of us, but
he also has 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah, he has a lot of quarterbacks.
That was number 5. So yeah.
And then finally, the deal that went through this past, yesterday? So Jesse, you dealt Jordan Addison, JJ McCarthy, a 26 and a 27 first for Justin Jefferson and a second round pick. Talk to us.
Oh boy. This was just I've been trying to move either McCarthy or May, a combination of one of those two, and Addison, along with my first to get, make a big splash with, whether it be a Justin Jefferson type player or I really tried to, get another top tier quarterback, but couldn't make it happen. So having one of the top 3 dynasty assets in Justin Jefferson, and with my already what I feel stacked receiving room, is just
it's basically you took a strength and made it even stronger with this deal. There's no question you have the best wide receiver room in the league now. We can play 5 wide receivers with the 3 flexes, so you can start every single one of them. And you have Justin Jefferson, Marvin Harrison, Puka, Malik Neighbors, and Garrett Wilson. All 5 of them could be top 12 wide receivers this year. As they get older.
Yeah.
You're just absolutely loaded there.
Yeah, I was not expecting this trade to actually happen, but when he said he was interested, and too, I think Nick is also at that cusp where he's got a lot of aging players, and he can maybe
Justin Jefferson was kind of his one non-aging player.
right. But to get 2 young, receiver and quarterback who was on the same team, gets a stack, gets more draft capital. He's looking to maybe start that rebuild.
Well, so I asked him about what his thought process was, and he basically told me he has the opposite problem of Colin Colin quit because he's he obsesses about fantasy football and he thinks about it too much. Nick basically is just I just don't care. I lack any motivation to care.
Oh.
And he's and it was kind of just a whatever, I'll make a move kind of deal. So
okay.
But I feel like the value was pretty even. He now has all 3 of your first round picks the next 3 years. So
yes, he does.
I talked to him. I said I feel like I would rather have that if I'm rebuilding, do a couple picks each year than go all in on 1 year like you did this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it kind of just gives you more versatility. And this is a draft that I feel like the running backs weren't as good as we've had in recent drafts, but you still kind of shoehorned yourself into having to take multiple. So if you if you spread out your picks in multiple drafts, then you can kind of avoid that situation. So,
Yeah.
any final thoughts? Anything you guys want to add? I know, Jesse, you missed some of the discussion, but anything else you want to talk about with the draft or any trades that happened?
I also told Chris not to make the trade with Jesse.
Oh, we got an exclusive here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because Chris can't make decisions on his own. He needs other people's insight. But I mean, I did offer what I gave Nick for Jordan Love and Metcalf, and he still said no. So
Yeah, I told Chris, I was like, hey, you're the top competition here, but that's just a stupid trade to make.
Nick's like, selfishly, I would want you to do something.
Exactly.
But
I'll be honest with you. I also thought I was gonna, just kind of trade rate them out of that one too. But
was it for Drake May?
It was. I didn't care. It was either his choice, Drake May or McCarthy,
JJ, yeah,
and Addison, and my 2 firsts for. Oh wait, hold on a second. So this was before the draft. He agreed to Drake May or McCarthy, Neighbors, and then my 2026 first for for Love and AJ Brown. So he said he would do that. I just got to draft those players and we'll make the trade happen. And then he reneged.
All right. Well, I sent you guys a list of some names. Do you want to play a couple rounds of Imposter? So the rules are basically for each thing. 2 of you, I sent a player that is owned in one of our fantasy football league, and the other one got texted the word imposter. So what is happening is the 2 people that know the name of the player are trying to figure out who the imposter is and pick them out and say that they don't know who the player is. But if the imposter can actually guess who the player is, then they get the point, not the people that know the player. So what you're trying to do is give a clue that's vague enough where the imposter is not going to be able to figure out what you're talking about, but specific enough where the other person can kind of know that you're on the level and know who the player is. Was that explanation okay? Do people understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You do it again.
Can you only, if you're the imposter, can you only guess the person when it's your turn?
I mean, if you're the imposter, you want the game to go on as long as possible so that you can keep getting more and more clues.
Yeah.
Suggestions for the imposter, I would say maybe try and like piggyback on other people's clues, right? Like somebody gives a clue, maybe try to give something close to that. And, there's a lot of ways you can go here.
So is this kind of like
Oh no.
What? What'd you say? You cut out there. Yeah.
I'm assuming he said Secret Hitler.
It's a little bit like that, yeah. All right, so why don't we go?
How do we know who starts?
I was going to say I'll kind of go in a circle here and tell people who to start. The order will go. We'll try to stay in the same order the whole time so that it's mostly fair. I'll just go in my screen here. It goes Jesse, Nick, Dave as the order. So Jesse can go first.
Okay.
You can give 1-word clues. You can give a couple words if it makes sense.
And this is for number 1.
Number 1
on our list.
Yep.
Okay. And so obviously I don't know who the imposter is for number 1. It's either Nick or Dave.
Okay. Yep.
And so I'm trying to give. Okay. All right. Here we go. I made it to the Super Bowl in 2018.
That's very specific. My clue is chance.
So Jesse, Nick's clue is definitely more along the lines of what I was expecting.
Okay, what is
One word, 2 words, not like
what
a
is
full sentence.
what is
or
chance? But what does chance mean? I don't even know what chance means.
See, and that's why it's like sometimes it can be vague, sometimes it can be specific.
Okay,
All right, Dave, it's your
All
turn.
So am I guessing, or because the thing you texted me like a list, right?
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. There's no.
So Dave's the imposter.
yes, Dave's
okay.
the imposter.
Yeah. So
Uh,
Dave, if you're the imposter, you're trying to like
You're trying to
You're
listen
trying
to
to,
what we say.
trying to hide.
And you're trying to
you're trying to
guess.
also you also
trying to-
have to give clues, but you're trying to make it seem like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you're trying to. So the answer, Jesse, Dave's the imposter, right? Do we agree Dave's the imposter?
Dave is the imposter.
Okay, so we're saying Dave's the imposter.
So Dave, do you have a guess of who the player is then?
Puka Nakua.
He wasn't even in the NFL in 2018.
Oh,
He's a rookie, Dave. He was a rookie last year. Jesus.
Jared Goff.
It was Jared Goff.
Goff.
There you go.
Jared Goff is who it was.
See, chance. That's what I was saying, Jesse. It's the chance. Jared Goff.
Oh, chance.
Chance.
Like chance.
oh,
I thought you said
Chance.
chance, like with a
Yeah, I also thought you
C-H-A-N-C-H.
said
or
C-H-A-N-C.
Yeah, you know.
Right,
So if I was Dave, I would have listened to that, and then I would have tried to like say something else.
or
Well,
you can just give vague things
Yeah.
that could apply to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
Offensive player, defensive player.
well, so they are all fantasy football players.
Yeah.
But you could
Defensive
just be like pro
Yeah.
athlete,
Yeah.
football player,
Mhm.
AFC. You can just, throw out black, white, yellow, red.
yeah.
Young Wei Koo?
I
No kicker.
understand the rules now.
You understand the rules now. All right, so
yeah.
now we'll skip number 1 and move to number 2. So we'll start with Jesse again. Just because that's where we started the first time, and since we
Notre Dame.
Trade.
22.
I didn't hear Dave.
I didn't hear him either.
You cut
22.
out.
Jesse,
4th round.
Running back.
Ram.
Hmm. Touchdowns.
I would also say if the imposter knows the clue, they can just guess if they think they know the player.
All right. Yeah, Kyren Williams.
Yeah, Nick, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one, Dave. Good one.
Nick was the imposter. I was like, you guys, okay, that was a little too specific.
I was like, yeah.
Notre Dame running back, or Notre Dame 22.
I actually didn't know at the time. But I figured that's a running back's number. So I was like, yeah.
All right, so now we'll move to number 3. Nick, you can start this one.
Offensive player.
Bird.
Knee.
Purple.
Black.
Orange.
Yellow.
Red.
At any time, you guys can try and the imposter. You don't have to keep giving clues. You can instead of giving a clue, you can
So if I know who the imposter is, I can say it.
Well, but you and the other person would have to agree.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know who the other person is. Well, I do know who the person is.
Okay. So then
So if you know
say
who
who
the
you think
imposter
it is, and if the other person
Yeah.
agrees, then you guys can stop giving clues and say that.
All right, Dave, Nick's the imposter. You right?
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I have no idea.
All right. Nick, do you know the player?
Lamar Jackson.
Kyle
Yeah.
Pitts.
Kyle Pitts. Dave said black.
Black for the
Bird.
Falcons.
Bird. I said
Bird.
orange
Bird.
for.
No, you
Went
said
to Florida.
knee. You said knee.
I said knee. I also said orange.
What does knee have?
He had a bum knee.
Yeah.
Got an injured
Oh,
knee.
okay.
Yeah.
His meniscus injury.
Jesse gave Jesse gave very good clues that time.
Oh, thank you, Andrew.
I thought you gave
But
very
better-
good clues that time.
Better than the first one.
Yes. All right. Round 4. Dave, you can start up.
Pirate.
Running back.
Streak. Jesse.
Touchdown.
All right, Dave. Jesse's the imposter, right?
Stanford.
Yes, Jesse is
So you-
Jesse's the imposter.
Nick and Dave agree. Okay. Jesse, do you know who the player is?
Pirate. Streak.
Touchdowns is what Dave.
Touchdowns. Mike Evans.
That is correct.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
that is correct. Well done, Jesse.
Thank you.
You guys should have, as soon as you said running back, I don't know how you guys weren't like, nope,
I
this is over.
I kind of wanted to play more. I knew it was him, but I wanted to give it. I wanted to give
The
it.
problem was then you
clue.
gave it away. You let him guess it. All right, so Jesse, it's back to you to start.
Well, he has to guess it before we figure out who it is.
Wait, you said I start?
Yeah.
Number 5, right?
Mhm. Yeti.
Workhorse.
Running back.
Jesse.
Goal line.
Stiff arm.
Heisman.
Purple.
Jesse, I want to say the imposter's Dave. Do you agree? Do you want to go
I
with me?
agree. Yes.
Okay. I think the imposter's Dave.
The imposter is Dave.
All
Is
right.
the imposter Dave?
Yes, Dave.
Okay.
Do you have a
But
guess- do you have a guess for which player?
he's gonna guess.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's why I wanted to get.
All right. So I think now it's Nick's turn to start.
Pass.
Hair.
Garden.
Catch.
Candy.
You guys are confusing the fuck out of me right now.
Can we just say Jesse's the imposter, Nick?
I'll say Jesse's the imposter.
I'm not the imposter.
Nick was
Yeah.
the imposter.
Yeah.
I think Nick's the imposter. But Dave, what the hair and candy? What does that have to do?
Hair. Because
Oh, I heard hair.
Hair.
Oh, I heard
Hair.
hair.
I heard hair also.
I also heard hair.
I don't know.
I-
No, pair. Do.
Hair.
Hair. And who was the person? I don't not.
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave.
Jesse, I was trying to figure out what garden.
Wilson and Olave.
Olave? Oh, Olive Garden?
That's
Olave?
I eventually got there. That's what I thought you were
Oh.
doing. Like
Oh,
Olive Garden, like
what does pear mean?
Olave pear. I think he was
Him
referring
and
to
Garrett
Olave
Wilson.
and Garrett Wilson were a pair.
Yeah. What about candy?
A Buckeye. Like the Buckeye
That would be a nut.
Or
No, it's. You went like 7 layers deep on that one.
Dave did the classic overthink.
Overthink.
All right, number 7, Dave, you start.
Good start, Dave.
Did you say something, Dave? Because we didn't hear you.
yeah, video game.
2023.
Buddha.
Washington.
Red.
I think the imposter's Jesse. Do you agree, Dave?
Yes, I agree.
I think it's Jesse.
Yes.
Is Jesse the imposter? Okay.
Yes.
I am the imposter.
Do you have a guess?
No.
Yeah,
I Buddha Baker, but it's not Buddha Baker. Buddha Redskins.
That's who I was
Washington?
referring to.
Washington. Dave said Washington
Hmm.
and video game.
I don't know what video game is.
I have no idea.
Nick, I will say Buddha is just an outstanding clue for this player. I will say,
Yeah.
because it's not ever going to lead anybody anywhere, but anybody that knows who the player is can be like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
DK Metcalf.
It's DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Which that wouldn't be because we had to walk you there,
Yeah.
Jesse. So
Yep.
as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, that is the best clue. That's the best clue anybody's given.
I mean, with more good clues, I would have gotten it. But
Yeah.
What is
Where does the-
video game?
DK.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey.
Donkey
okay.
Kong. DK.
Dave's all over the place.
Okay. And what about Washington?
Seattle. He plays for Seattle.
He plays for Seattle.
Oh, I was thinking like the Washington Commanders.
No, that's how I knew Dave knew who it was because I figured that's vague enough. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So I think Jesse, it's your turn to start.
Yes. Wide receiver 1.
Cowboy.
Bison.
What'd you say?
Bison.
Do it, Jesse. Say something. Make something up.
I was trying.
Come on.
I was gonna say Minnesota Vikings.
I would also like to take this time to say Jesse is the imposter. Do you agree, Dave?
I do agree.
Is Jesse the imposter?
Yeah. Back in pastas.
It's tough.
I couldn't figure out Dave's clue, but now I understand it.
Bison.
Buffalo Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, you shouldn't really. Jesse can still guess the players.
I
that's
assumed it was. I assumed you were going to say Buffalo Bill. I said wide receiver 1. What? Wait.
Why are you thinking about what you said?
I know, but I feel like when I said that, neither of you like showed like any emotion. Like you were like, "Oh yeah, totally."
I had to think about it to see if it related to anything, but I already had what I wanted to say.
Will Bison, Buffalo Bill.
Mine
gonna
was Cowboy.
Yours was Cowboy. Josh Allen.
Yeah, that is correct.
Wyoming Cowboy.
Wyoming Cowboys played for Wyoming. All right, Nick, starter up.
Hold
Two
on.
more. I think I got 2 more rounds that I sent out.
Yeah.
See, as you play a few rounds, you kind of get the hang of the game.
All right. I start.
Yeah.
All right. Injured.
Knee.
Erection.
Dog.
Red.
Yeah,
Nick. Dave is the imposter.
I agree. Dave, who do you think it is?
So you said injured.
An injured erection.
For a second, I did think Nick was the imposter when Dave said knee. But
Any guesses, Dave?
Zach Wilson.
Nick Chubb.
No.
Chubb.
Chubb.
Part of
Erection.
the dog pound.
All right, last round. Dave, kick her off.
First round.
Drops. Or sorry, drop. Can I change it to drop?
See, hands.
Lightning.
Purple.
$40.
I'm gonna say Nick's the. Do you agree, Jesse?
I agree. Yep. Frog.
Well, that means you don't have to give clues, Jesse.
I'm still going to give clues because I want Nick to get it.
So, like, first round drop, frog,
Purple.
purple frog, which is like TCU.
They've also said lightning. Lightning.
Lightning McQueen.
Lightning. Like thunder and lightning. Bolts.
The clue I would have given is horny.
Horny purple frogs.
Yeah, it's TCU, but like I don't understand.
Drops.
First round.
First round.
First
drops.
round.
You just keep saying the same things over and over.
Plays for the lightning bolts.
Got it. Quentin Johnston.
There you go.
There we go. I feel like by the end we got to where people were actually giving some pretty good clues. So well done.
Yeah.
Now we know
Figure it
how to
out.
play.
Yeah. So that might be a game we try out every now and then. It's easier to play than trivia. I don't have to put stuff up on the screen. We all like poker. It's kind of like some poker involved.
I have no poker face.
Me neither. That's why I was trying to, when people would give terrible clues and I was like, I'm just going to go down here. Or like somebody gives a clue and I know that they know the answer. And I'm like, what are they even talking about? Like, what is this? So, all right. Well,
The best clues.
parting thoughts. We discussed maybe on the next podcast, we might do oh yes, Nick, put the belt up there. You know, in the future, one of our ideas, if anybody's interested in this, we might dive into deals that we've been made way in the past. We'll go back 2 years, 3 years, find deals that were made, and then kind of analyze them from our future perspective now. Do we think the same team won the deal that we thought originally? Or do we think that with hindsight,
Somebody knew the future.
somebody was better at foretelling the future? So that might be something we do. So if anybody's interested in that, hit me up and maybe we can join the podcast. Any other parting thoughts? Anybody?
Good luck, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Luck
And
this season.
obviously, and
Have a good night.
Trust the process.
And obviously,
Process.
we'll do team recaps and stuff. So signing off. Here's Nick.
No. You have to pry this from my cold, dead hands. It's very soft. John Cena sucks. John Cena sucks. No, can't hear it.
I hear nothing. I hear crickets.
Time is up. Time is now. Can't see me. Time is now. All right. Deuces.